everybody. I'm Marcos.
And I'm Kirsten.
And this is the Minnesota Real Estate Investing Podcast.
Join us every week as we discuss real estate investing in the land of 10,000 lakes.
Hi everyone, welcome to our second episode. Today we're going to be talking about what is a good deal and how to find good deals out there. I am going to be talking a little bit weird today. I just was at the dentist getting some work done in my mouth and my upper lip is numb. So it's not too bad, but it's going to be weird. I don't know, what do you think, Kirsten?
You sure look weird.
Yeah, it seems like I have some lip injection or something. It doesn't move at all.
To me, it doesn't sound that weird, though.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else is going to be able to tell.
Okay. Well, if I sound weird, you already know why it is. I feel weird because I don't feel half of my mouth. But yeah, let's go right into it. And let's start talking about what is a good deal. Basically, is how we analyze properties that we find out there to make sure that they fit the criteria of an investor.
Yeah. A good deal is probably different for every person, you know, depending on their financing and, you know, what they're looking for, what they're looking to do, a flip or a buy and hold. But a lot of times, you know, they coincide. If it's a good deal for a flip, then it's definitely a good deal for a buy and hold.
Yeah, more times than not, depending on that rehab cost too.
Yeah. If it's a good deal for a buy and hold, it might not be a good deal for a flip, though. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know. With buy and hold, you can always purchase a little bit higher than with a flip. With a flip, definitely you make your money when you buy it, so.
Yeah. So I'm mainly the one that is looking for all the deals. That is how we work. That's our workflow and like kind of our roles is I find the deals and Marcos analyzes them. So I love using just the MLS. Like that's where I find most good deals because, you know, I know a lot of people in the past couple of years have been wanting off-market deals, but in our experience, they are not always better. I think you sometimes have to be even more careful with off-market listings because it's that like psychological feeling of like, oh, it's off-market, so it must be a good deal. You know, nobody else has seen it. Well, that's probably not true. Like wholesalers have really good, you know, most of the time buyers lists and sometimes they're getting passed around. Like we've seen it where they just get passed around between each, you know, 5 wholesalers or something.
Exactly.
And they're tacking on their fees, and it's like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen like $80,000 differences or more.
Yes, exactly. But that's more into how to get them, yeah. I think. So let's
so
go.
How do I look? Should I talk about?
Yeah, I think that you're the one that looks for them. Mm-hmm. Like Kirsten said before, she finds them. She has an eye for deals, honestly. And then, you know, depending on the price, depending on everything or the negotiations we can do, then I take care more of the numbers part and making sure that if we put it on the contract, it's not going to be something that's bad. Of course, when you put something on the contract, always have your contingencies in place, making sure that you can walk out of the deal with your earnest money in your pocket. Sometimes you're gonna have to get that up. We actually did that with a short-term rental we were going to acquire up north in Motley. Mm-hmm. But having the right contingencies in place save you from that.
Yeah, so what do I do to find all of our deals? Like, because I've literally found probably all of our deals and most of the deals.
Yeah. For us and for our clients.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing. Like, I look at something, our clients send us things that they saw on the MLS, sometimes not even on the MLS. Sometimes they send us something that they saw off market too. But usually it's Kirsten the one that says, hey, here it is, and that's the one they end up buying.
Yeah, so I have a talent for that. I just love the MLS because I'm like really good at using it, and I'm really good at like being a sleuth with it and stuff. And so I have like so many searches on there, just so many where I have different criteria and I can find different properties that are going to be good deals. So to make it like the most broad search, usually I'll kind of set up a price range, and like one of the searches that I'm always looking at is 300,000 and under, because it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be good deals above that. There are, but most people are looking in there, and it's just most of the properties that you can add equity to are going to usually be in that price range. So that's one of my biggest searches. I go on there and I can literally, there's like this screen. It's hard to like talk about if you haven't seen the MLS. But basically I can just see the address, the city it's in, and then like how many beds and bath and how many square feet. And so like sometimes I'll just like look through that list just like that and kind of scroll through, and they'll be like looking like, oh wow, okay, Plymouth 250. Okay, what's this? Obviously that's easy. Or I can look at the beds and baths. Oh wow, this has 2 beds, 1 bath. Maybe it has room for equity. So I just like kind of go in there and like really search for stuff like that. And I start clicking through properties, just clicking, and like, I guess I'm always looking in this market. I don't know. I'm kind of curious if with people who have done this before, all of the crazy times we've had in the last couple of years, like if you could make money just flipping. I think people still do this too, though, like flipping a house without adding equity.
Yeah.
You have to get it so low though, but like that is always what I'm looking for. Like you'll always want to be able to add a bedroom or bathroom. You just have to do that unless you get it super low.
Yeah. That's the thing. To adding equity just assures you that at least you're gonna break even. Like worst case scenario, right? If you had a bedroom, bathroom, that's what, or square footage. That's why it is so important. Whether you're looking at a rental or a flip or short term, whatever it is, looking for properties that need work and that need real work, because paint, that's for an end buyer. That's for somebody that's going to live there probably. You're going to be competing with people that don't care about the numbers. I don't know. Simple things are usually not what you look for. I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about, what you see in the pictures that tells you this is a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I look in the listing. Does it say that it has unfinished basement or something, or like does the square footage show that you can add more? Sometimes agents don't add that though, and sometimes they don't even mention it in the comments or the remarks or in the pictures, so that you have to be a sleuth there and like look at past listings and stuff like that. But yeah, like a lot of people too are looking for homes that are like so distressed, and like yes, those can be good deals, but not always. Not always,
because sometimes if you find a house that needs, let's say, $100,000 in rehab, and you're like, such a good deal, it's only $150,000, but then you can only sell it for $300,000, you're not making a good deal there. Then that house that needs $100,000, now you need to get it for $100,000 or less too. So the purchase price and the rehab cost, they both need to be considered in the ARV. If you're looking at a flip, that's my accent coming up there. And then for rentals, it just depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Because if you're buying cash, you're gonna have your own criteria. We have clients that buy cash and they go exclusively by the 1% rule with rehab included. Some people go by the 1% rule with only purchase, and then it doesn't matter what the rehab is, as long as they still make money at the end of the day, in the area where you're at, of course. If you don't know what the 1% rule is, real quick, you purchase a home for $200,000, 1% of that is $2,000. So if you purchase a home for $200,000 and you rent it for $2,000, it's meeting the 1% rule for rental.
Yeah, and some people are super strict with that, but others aren't. And I wouldn't personally be too strict with that. Like, you should always just see the potential that the property has. Like if a property has all this potential and it that means it's a good deal. You always want to see, even if it is a rental, it's great. The house you're in now, there's turnkey. We're not going to have to do anything. It doesn't have potential, but the location and location, literally, are just
location is everything here.
That's its potential.
Once we move out of here and we start renting this house where we're living right now, we're gonna have a cash flow of, depending if rents stay. Let's say that rents stay, which is the worst case scenario right now, where they're at right now. We're gonna have a cash flow of almost $400. It's not too exciting, but still, we have a lot of equity. It's a prime location. We know it's gonna rent easy. So the vacancy rate is gonna be much lower. But then we're probably gonna see an increase in rentals, in rents, coming up next year. We already saw an increase this year. So we think that we're gonna have a cash flow that's gonna be, I think, is gonna be more in the 6, 7 once we go, and those are numbers that are more interesting. At the same time, the more cash flow, the more return on investment percentage you have, the better the numbers look. So
so I think the bottom line is we look for equity potential, location. Is it slightly under market value, or has it been sitting on the market a while so that we could offer under what they're asking and get a good deal? And then also, you always have to keep in mind, like we said, what you're looking for. Are you looking to flip it, or are you looking to rent it?
Okay.
So I don't know. There's a lot we could talk about with this. It's hard to keep this straight.
It's not a we don't use a secret formula to analyze things. It all depends on what you're looking for as an investor. Like we said, we have investors that are super strict about the 1% rule. Some other investors we work with, they're like, okay, I'm looking exclusively at the cash flow. I don't care what it is. I'm looking exclusively at the cash flow. And of course, the cash flow is impacted by how you purchase it. If you have a loan, what's the interest rate? How much money are you putting down for the purchase? How much is the rehab going to cost, and is that covered by the lender too? Because if you have to put money out of your pocket, then you have to see what the cash on cash return is like, and what your goal for that is. Usually when we use a loan, we want to be at least, in cash on cash return, we want to be at least 2 points above the interest rate that we're getting. Ideally more, of course, but that's kind of the minimum that we look for.
And I think the mistakes that we see people making a lot is buying emotionally, like we mentioned in the last podcast, and then for both a flip and a rental, the location, even the flip we helped our client with, that location, we thought it was better than it was. And so you really have to know the location and how well it's going to sell when you sell it, if it's a flip, or how well it's going to rent, what is the demand going to be. And that is a huge factor if it's a big deal or a good deal or not.
A big deal is going to be when you find yourself with that bad deal. So location, school district too. And of course, without getting too much into things that as licensed agents we can't talk about, but the location determines also the type of buyer or tenant you're going to have. So you have to be mindful of what your end buyer looks like, and because when you're doing a flip, you want to make sure that your buyer pool is as big as it can be, whether it is price range, location, and everything. And then for tenants, you want to get as good of a tenants as you can get. Of course, you have a lot of things in the application that you can put, like minimum credit score, minimum income. Usually we try to have people in our rentals that are making at least 3 times the rent. Depending on different factors, we can make exceptions with that. Different factors being like the job stability, the rent history, all that stuff. It's also gonna affect. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of spaced out today. I didn't have much caffeine, but all that is gonna affect how much vacancy you have, how good of a tenant you get, and the location ends up being really important too.
Yeah. So if all those things are check, 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 then you're like, oh, this is a good deal. Whenever I find a good deal, I'm like, Marcos, I found such a good deal. You have to come look at this deal. Please analyze this for me right away. It's always like that. It's funny because I get so excited when I find a good deal.
Yeah, and sometimes when she gets excited like that, I'm like, we're buying a house. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the recent one that we found. We offered on it, but they didn't accept it.
Yeah, they didn't.
It's still on the market, and we don't want anybody else to get it because we're going to see if we can get financing to buy it. But like, this is a good example of a good deal. Like when I found this deal, I was just so excited.
Yeah. I mean, you look at. I read the seller's disclosure statement, and like it had a new roof, and newer roof. It's like 4 years old. Then talking to the agent, we found out that it wasn't only the roof, but also sidings, windows. The
property
outside
itself has been maintained impeccably.
Yeah.
And it has a huge unfinished basement.
Yeah. So basically, we're gonna if they end up accepting our offers, because like we're in the middle of negotiations right now, basically, and we're also trying to get better financing too. Because the offer we submitted was with the financing that we have right now. And due to those numbers, we can only go up so much. We can risk it and kind of meet in the middle, but it is something better. But yeah, we can add like 1,000 square feet in that house.
More, yeah, like 1,000 square feet, I think.
Yeah.
About that, and it's in a really good school district.
Exactly.
It's a very good location, like in that area. He just gave away where it was, and I said you can't do that, so he's gonna edit it out. Because this is a really good deal. This is the thing, like you have to have eyes that are looking for a little bit different than what other people might be thinking is a good deal, and so that's kind of, I think, my strength in a way.
Yeah.
But then there are so many properties where I'm like, okay, this is going to sell with multiple offers in a day, and they pretty much always do. And so there, what we are seeing on the MLS, everybody else is seeing, and that's why people don't like using the MLS. But now that the market's changing, things are going to get different. So.
Yeah. And I didn't tell you this, but this morning I received an email from another one of our investors, and he's going through a couple deals, and he's realizing what we're saying. Sellers now are more willing to negotiate with you. You have more time to think. Most of the time, if you see a good deal, if you see something that looks like, oh, that's too much of a good deal, go look at it right away and put an offer as soon as you can, because that's probably going to fly. Now, on these properties that are sitting on the market, sellers are getting tired. And what happens here, which we were talking about in our last episode, in Minnesota, holiday season in winter is you just can't sell as much as during the rest of the year. So, and not only that, but then you have to make sure that you're shoveling the snow. And we have a lot of snow in Minnesota. So you either hire someone and go there yourself. And if you don't have anyone to do it for you, or you don't want to do it yourself, or let's say you're a person that lives out of state, those are the type of sellers that are the best, and that they don't want to hold it through the winter because they know that it's just going to cost them more money. Besides, during the winter, you have to make sure that you have heating on. Anyone who's listening to this probably lives in Minnesota, so you know what I'm talking about. Make sure that you're shutting down all the water to the outside. Otherwise, you're going to have a huge problem during winter. We actually saw a couple houses with those issues too. That it's sad when you see that because it's such an easy problem to solve. And if it's vacant, the property is vacant even more because you don't have someone. If the heating goes off and you realize a week later, well, you're probably going to have a big issue in that house.
Yeah, so, there are deals out there. Like, that was one of the things is I think there have been deals in the past couple years, and there are, like, obviously we found one and did an awesome flip with it.
But in our flip, we found it on the MLS.
Yeah, it was on the MLS. Like stick to what you're good at too, because like that's what I'm good at is finding deals on the MLS. And I for a while was like, oh, well, I should be finding more off market stuff. Well, that's not what I'm good at, so it's gonna be harder for me to like find good deals like that than it is just sticking to my tools and things I have at my fingertips. And there are good deals out there, and there's gonna be more good deals coming up. So, on the MLS.
On the MLS,
yeah.
Exactly. On the MLS, everyone tries to go to the MLS because they know that they can get the max amount of eyes on their property. So, but you do have to have good eyes to find it. Like we said, our flip, it was sitting there for 3 months. Nobody was looking at it. They didn't have any showings. They were about to reduce the price. We gave them an offer, met in the middle. We made so much money with that flip. It's ridiculous. So, and nobody was looking at it because it was a house that was...
you could live in it.
You could live in it. And we just made it into a high-end property. Now, we talked a lot about the MLS. How we can find properties there. Of course, as agents, we have the advantage that we have access to that. If you don't have access to it, make sure you partner with an agent to
see what's out there.
See what's out there. Like they can, as agents, we can put you in lists where you're like, okay, I want anything between 100 and 200. That's it's 50s and newer, younger. As if it was a living
deal.
It's
a young house.
Young house. For just to give you an example, like we can make it happen. What you say, I just want properties where they're saying that's as is. We can do that. The MLS is as a search engine for houses. That's why we use it as realtors. We understand it. And we know exactly what to do with the criteria we put in there in order for it to spit out the maximum amount of information to us. There are other tools you can use to find those same deals that are on the MLS, all the properties on the MLS, like, I don't know, there's PropStream. You can... use realtor.com.
What was that? Privy or something that someone was using?
Privy, I think it's called. Yeah, I'm not sure how to spell it, but
yeah, apparently that one is close to the MLS. But.
Yeah, but still, it has missing information too. The amount of information that we have as agents, of course, we depend on the other agent that's listing that property. Like we said, sometimes they don't put that it has an unfinished basement, and we go see the property thinking that it's only upstairs, and suddenly we're like, what is this? oh, an extra 500 square feet down here where we can add a bedroom and a bathroom and increase the value for another 50,000. So, if you don't have MLS, if you don't want to pay a subscription, which I highly encourage you to, if you don't want to partner with a realtor to do this kind of stuff, you can always network and get to know wholesalers. Honestly, how to find deals, where to find deals, go on Facebook. There are many different groups on Facebook where there's wholesalers posting their stuff. Sometimes even agents. So if you look for groups on Facebook that are related to real estate, you're gonna find deals too. You can look for them in Craigslist also, although not many people are posting deals there now because Facebook became so big with that. Like social media in general, it's insane how much you can see from there. Unfortunately, like we were talking about before, sometimes you see things that are at retail price, even though they're off market or even higher. I could give a few examples, but I really don't want to get in the bad side of anyone. But be careful. Run your numbers. Make sure that you're looking at comps for that house when you purchase and for the ARV as well, and that it fits your numbers. You don't want to be quote unquote overpaying for a house too. So take a look at Facebook. Anything that says real estate is usually going to give you something.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota, of course, yeah, because you can find them all over the place. There are Facebook groups for Florida, for each state, for each city. It is out there. You'll be able to find it. You don't know how to. We also look at those, of course. We have to be in social media because of our jobs, and we look at that too. And when something really, seems like a good deal, we start analyzing it, and then we talk to the wholesaler and see what we can put together there. Another good way to find deals is to just network with agents. We do that too. We talk to other agents. We talk to them about, okay, what do you have coming here soon? That's off market. Do you think that you have something that needs some rehab? Where do you have it? Do you think you have something in this specific area that I'm looking for? You have any fourplexes? You have any duplexes? There's a lot of people out there that can bring you a deal.
It's all about who you know.
It's all about who you know. Sometimes even your neighbor tells you, you know what? I have my cousin that wants to sell their house, but it's not a good house. Like it needs a lot of love. Well, tell me more about it. Let's see. And then you talk to your neighbor's cousin. Suddenly, you got your first rental like that, or your first flip. Who knows? Or your next one. So that, in a nutshell, is how we find deals. Let us know if you have other tactics, other techniques, and of course, we haven't really dig into the part where you can do your own marketing and cold call investors. You can look at there's a lot more work involved, but you can look at probates, you can look at foreclosures. There's a lot of things that you can do without the MLS too, in order to get in touch to those people. Now, be mindful that it's going to take you more time, more legwork, but it's not impossible. Just go to the city hall, get those lists, start making sure that you have the contact information for those people. You can knock on doors. If you don't like any of that, we can do that for you, and that's what we do all day.
Yeah. Drive for dollars.
Drive for dollars.
Another one.
Yeah, you can drive for dollars even with Google.
Yeah, a lot of people use Google. That's another thing too. There's so many ways out there. People just click on properties on Google, like on fourplexes and stuff, I've heard, and that's how they get their properties.
Yeah, you get an address, you skip trace that address, you try to find the people's information, and send them a letter. knock on their door, 2, give them a call. It's all about talking to people in this business. It's like you said, who you know more than what you do. You can be doing a million things and nothing is working. You have to focus on a couple different strategies, and then if those don't work, move on to the next one. But always try things at least for a couple months before you give up on that. Yeah, that being said, I think that we exhausted this subject so much right now that we should end this podcast.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm hungry, so.
Yeah, me too. I haven't eaten breakfast because I had this teeth stuff coming up. So thank you for listening. I hope you liked this show. I hope you took something out of it. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week? No, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it and took some valuable information out of it. If you want to reach out to us with comments or questions, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and our website, milagrohomesre.com.